Hi there, it's Robin again from Spider Sense Productions. We're looking at the images the world creates for us and we follow on to worship. Today I'm going to talk about the people of colour thing, because someone came to me about it and was critical with me about it on X today. And I was trying to understand why he was making a general material world question a matter of race, when there are no exceptions to this rule, whichever race you come from. So the rule I'm talking about here is that I'm proposing that all people in the world, for as long as history can remember, prefer slavery to freedom. And we prefer slavery to freedom because it feels slightly more comfortable a position to take than being authentically, or trying to be authentically, a free person. Okay? Now, why do I say that? Well, I would say that freedom, let's take freedom of speech, which is one of the most topical ones at the moment, of course. Freedom of speech itself comes with a connected and intimately connected obligation to do no harm by the act of that freedom of speech. Okay? So you mustn't do any harm through speaking freely in the eyes of reasonable people, which might be a judge in a civil law court, for example. But that's a very heavy weight to bear, isn't it? That obligation not to harm anybody through your free actions is a very heavy weight, because it means you have to really think carefully, probably for the first time, about what you're saying or about your action of freedom. So what we choose to do instead is we say, how can I keep my freedom, my acts of freedom, and not have to meet my obligations at the same time, while making it look like I am meeting my obligations? Well, it's a very easy answer to that. Well, it's a hard answer, but it's a simple answer. We look for society to do it, don't we? We ask society to meet my obligations so that I can carry on lying about my so-called freedom, so that I can carry on harming people through my so-called actions of freedom. We allow society to bear that burden. We throw that weight of obligation onto society itself, or the state, or a government, however you want to look at it. The problem with that is it means we now have a master who we didn't have before, taking away freedom to that extent. So we've submitted to a master by throwing our obligations onto that master, which might be the state today in the modern world. Used to be God, didn't it? So we're not really free anymore, are we? And we're not acting on our obligations either. But the worst factor of all in this action, this collective actions, it's an unconscious action as well. We don't do it consciously, but we do it nevertheless. The biggest problem we create, the biggest side effect, unintended consequence, is that we have become slaves. So this is what I was trying to tell this guy who was making this an issue of colour, or people of colour. I said, look, we are all slaves, and we have chosen that by free choice. Anyway, have a think about that in a quiet moment. It's Robin Smith from Spider Sense Productions. Cheers now.